You ready to go, guys? All right, call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chris.
Here.
Richard.
Here.
Yancy.
Here.
Tor.
Yep.
Sally.
Yes.
Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
I'd like to move D, reorder D and E.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have any amendments to the minutes from the April 9th meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have any public comments that are not related to anything on the public hearing or consent calendar? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. We have an acceptance and scheduling of an application from Kathy Reamer for a conditional use permit for a home occupation fabric shop at 409 Sandy Beach Road. We have motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to public hearing items, we have consideration of zoning map for Service Area 1. And Liz, do you have comments on where we are on this? Do we need to just go on to the next items, or is there...
If you turn to page 21, that table has all of the actions to date,
Okay.
and then when you get to the bottom where it starts, it says pending requests, and it has amendment number 7. Those are the ones that you either postponed or people have made subsequent requests.
Okay.
So you're just right there unless you wanted to revisit everything you've done already.
I guess we should put it out there to anybody who's earlier if they have any changes that they would like to make now that we've gone through the industrial zoning again. So if there's anybody who would like to come up and testify who's earlier in that table, we'll take testimony on that at this time. So
I guess I might say something. I'm John Reed.
please step up to the microphone.
He's actually on the table. so-
He's on your...
He's number
Yeah.
7.
You're
Yeah,
number
the first
7,
one
so,
actually on
okay.
there. We've got you on there already. Yeah.
Try to sit down there.
Sure. We'll move on to you in just a moment.
Yeah, you guys are down here.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, next page, from the very end.
So if,
Flip it. I'll let you know. You're on the agenda.
okay, so moving on to number 7 then on the table. So,
Your turn.
yes, that's you. Step up to the microphone, please.
You just wanted to sit down. My name's John Reed, and I live at 112 Skull Bay Loop Road. And we've owned a piece of property for a lot of years there. And at this point, we're trying to see if we can rezone that to light industrial, so it'll allow us to short plot the piece of property and build bigger than industrial size residential lots, living space on the property. And so basically, that's what we're trying to do. We want to divide the property up. It's about 2 acres without claiming the extra tidelands, which is probably another ½ acre. But that's what the size of property. And it's the only bare piece of property on that Skull Bay Loop Road on the water side. It has room to grow on it. All the rest of the property on Skull Bay Loop Road, it's got something on the water side built on it or, constructed on it. And we're the only ones left that haven't did anything with the property over the last 80 years. So that's what I'm looking for, to see if they'll rezone it to light industrial, so I can do something with the property. The way it stands now, it's a lot better use for the property, because you'll have homes on there you can tax. You'll have a big tax base there with all waterfront along the front of that property. I think that's one of your ultimate goals, to get money for the county, for your city. So that's where I'm at. I don't know if you have any questions.
Any commissioners have questions?
No, I'd agree with you. The lot's a beautiful spot for a house, living spot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly how many lots we can get on it, but 6 to 9 lots, so. Anyway, I guess that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Discussion? Or we need a motion?
Motion me, I guess, rezone this to light industrial from industrial.
Second?
Discussion? Any comments, questions?
Seems to fit the area.
Yeah.
Roll call?
Richard,
Yes.
Yancy,
Yes.
Tor,
Yep.
Chris,
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Motion approved. Okay. Moving on to 18. Zoning to allow for manufacturing of homes by John Mergus. Do we have any public testimony? Do we have a motion? Yes?
I just wanted to remind you that, so that piece of property is, it's this portion up here. It's currently single-family residential. It's portion of this bigger lot. And so the lot actually has 2 different zoning districts in it. I assume it was originally zoned that way to protect the residential uses here. And then Mr. Mergus had approached the commission about turning it into light industrial. No, turning it into light industrial to allow for someone to come in and build model homes there. But then he also still wanted to provide for residential uses there. That was before light industrial got kind of scaled back considerably. So I'm not sure of his desire at this point. It's currently, as I understand it, an undeveloped lot, portion of the lot. He hasn't done anything with it. That's about all I know. So I'm not sure if light industrial would meet his needs, or if you want to leave it as, residential to kind of fit with the rest of the neighborhood, or move it into industrial so it fits with the rest of the property. There's, or you might want to just wait until he comes back and has a more clear plan of what he wants to do.
Are we trying to make a final recommendation on this map to the assembly at this time, or are we just trying to get more,
Well, my understanding is you're trying to finish, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I don't think we don't have a clear ask, so.
yeah,
Yeah, so
clear ask.
I don't have a clear ask, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could leave it as is until such time as he has other plans for it.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're taking no action on this, we'll just move on, or do we need to make a motion, Liz?
No, you can, it's proposed as low density, which is,
Okay.
basically what it is now, so.
Okay, we'll just move on then. We have 31, retaining in development reserve from Karen Olson.
Carmen.
Or Karen, sorry. Have any public testimony on this? Please come up to the microphone.
My name is Karen Olson. We want our property left as undeveloped land. We're kind of like Service One outliers. We don't receive any services from the city. We generate our own electricity. We have our own water system. Our road is maintained and plowed by my husband. And we're just kind of up there by ourselves and constantly being threatened with our road access. But anyway, I just hope that you'll leave it that way.
Second question, is it the same lot? So you live on the same lot that...
Yes, we do.
Because if you're using a lot, I think it has to be zoned. If it's undeveloped, that is my understanding.
Well, I would hope that we're maybe sort of grandfathered in since we went through the permitting process twice, building permits and variance.
But if you're using a lot, then it needs to be zoned, I guess. It's like my understanding, but I guess I can clarify that.
Okay, well, I would prefer it just be left that way.
Left.
But as unzoned, but if not, we'll go with the industrial.
Okay. Good enough. Thanks.
Any further questions, commissioners? Thank you. Do you have a motion?
Before I motion, could I get clarification, Liz? If it is in use, does it need to be zoned? If it's being used as residential?
Well,
Or that's
the way
residence on it?
the current code reads, it's unzoned or unclassified is supposed to be kept in a natural state, and you allow access, but until you decide what you want to do with it and zone it. And under the new code, I think it's even more explicit where you don't allow development until it's zoned. This property is unzoned, and it's proposed to be into industrial, general industrial. So,
At the same time, it's kind of, the structure on it predates zoning, so kind of grandfathered as well, so.
it's a question more about future use, though, I think,
Yeah.
right? If it depends on future use, so if they come back and say, we want to do X,
Then they're going to.
we don't have the authority to issue them a permit, as staff. We don't have
Yeah.
that authority.
Is it possible to, I know other pieces of property in the borough have been, part of it has been zoned in one zoning and part has been zoned another. Is it possible to say the portion that they're using could be zoned residential or light industrial, whatever, and the rest is kept as unzoned?
Well, I think if they wanted anything, it was general industry,
Yeah.
first of all.
Yeah.
And secondly, I suppose you could. It's not ideal, and I would not encourage
Yeah.
splitting lots because it's confusing for the... Well, you could see what happened with Mr. Murgis, where he was presuming that his entire lot was industrial, and it was not. And that happened repeatedly. People think that their lot's either split or it's not an ideal situation. If they want it that way, split into two, where they have the undeveloped portion as unzoned, it's certainly possible. But given the way you've structured industrial,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no limitation there, so.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Karen, do you mind if I ask you one more question? Sure. Which would you prefer? Keep it all one lot and zone one thing, or would you rather it split?
I don't want it split.
Okay. And industrial is okay by you if that's what it...
I guess so.
If it needs
That's
to...
what we thought it was.
Okay.
But like I pointed out, we received no services.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
Do we have a motion?
Just to clarify, you feel that it has to be zoned, since they're using it. Going forward, it has to be zoned.
Again, if they came and asked for a permit for anything, we don't have the authority to issue them a permit.
They aren't zoned.
Because they're not zoned, yeah. So then she would have to go through the whole process and pay for that and all of that jazz, and that's not, why do that if you don't, if we could just deal with it right now, I guess, unless there's some overriding issue there.
General industrial does give her the most freedom while still being in a zoning classification.
Well,
Okay, sorry, one sec. Yeah, if you have any questions on this, you're welcome to come up.
Oh, okay. I do have...
Just if you don't mind for the record. Just,
thank you. Tor?
I'm Heather O'Neill, and I'm here representing myself, and I do have an issue that's coming up later in the agenda, but we're talking about light industrial and general industrial, and at the last meeting I attended, I thought it was agreed that there would be a one industrial zone, as there had been in the past, and that we were going back to that. But in the agenda today, I don't see the minutes from that meeting. Am I wrong? Does anybody else in this room remember that that way, that there's one industrial zone?
But there's C2 zoning, which is become basically light industrial.
Okay, well, I was getting confused because everybody was talking about industrial and nobody was calling it commercial.
Yeah, it's that C2 was called in the old code C2 light industrial.
Okay.
So it's always called light industrial. So basically what we've done is we've just taken that and said that's light industrial, and then there's general industrial. But it only applies to the area that was C2 unless somebody wants light industrial somewhere else.
Okay, you can see where it's confusing for me.
It is.
Because I really was sure you all voted that it was going to be one industrial zone.
So it's, well, everything that was general or industrial before is general industrial now.
Again.
So,
Okay.
But your application is for light industrial.
Pardon me?
Your application today is for light industrial, correct?
No, my application is just to move a property line.
Oh, that's the other, okay.
Yeah.
The property
Okay.
line.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just wondering how the best way to approach this is if we vote to approve her request and then we vote that down, it'll go into industrial by itself is basically the way it's going to do. So, or we change her request to just be industrial.
No, actually, you can either leave it as it is, which is general industry, or you can make the motion to change it into development reserve. So only if you want to change it to development reserve do you need to make a motion.
Okay.
So if we have no motion, that's no action. So I hear no motion, so that would be leaving it in general industry. Unless any objections to that from the commissioners, let's move on. Lot 211 Mitkoff Highway from high density to light industrial. Do we have any public testimony on this? Yeah.
Harold Madallen, and my nephew Paul Dupree has told me what he wants. He's not in town, but he would like that zone light industrial rather than, I think it's been zoned mobile home park, and under your new scheme it would be high density, but anyway, he would rather it be light industrial, which I guess would be C2.
Yeah.
I missed the last couple of meetings, but is your C2 definition is pretty much the same as the C2 in the existing zoning? Okay, yeah. So that, I don't know that would be, I think that would be in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, and I just support his wishes there and hope you will too.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about anything about it I might be able to answer?
Liz, just for clarification, which lot is that one?
Oh, sorry.
The orange one right there, okay. So what's surrounding it? Is
Low density.
Low density, okay.
He actually has a letter in the packet explaining his interest.
thank you.
Thank you. I move to zone this property as light industrial.
Second?
Discussion? I don't really see that much of a problem with it. It's light industrial versus high density.
It's light industrial surrounded by low density. not-
Yeah, but I'm saying it's high density is what it's zoned as right now, and yeah,
Right.
or what it's proposed as, right?
What's that?
That lot is proposed as high density, right?
Right, it's mobile home park now.
Right.
And it's proposed as high density.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know our goal is not to spot zone, but like just one lot there, an outlier, but there already was an outlier.
How large is that lot, Liz?
You know, I'm not sure. It's good sized. Harold, by chance, do you know?
No, I'm afraid not.
It's a good size.
It's over an acre. I believe.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
Remember?
Big lot.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's big.
Hey, look at this. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion on this already, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roll call?
Sally.
Yes.
Ford.
Yep.
Yancy.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to lot 306 Hungerford Hill, from high density to light industrial. Okay. Do you have any testimony on this?
You know, Mr. Chairman, the only thing
Yes.
I'd add is that this gentleman brought in his comments before light industrial got changed to that more C2 type
Yeah.
configuration, and then he went fishing, and I haven't seen him since. So I don't know if this new version works for him, because it's currently a mobile home park, and then, you know, mobile home park and mobile homes are not allowed in that C2. So, and I don't know, he didn't really explain in his letter what his overall plans were, so I'm not 100% sure what he's thinking there, and again, he just showed up and then went fishing, so.
It'd be a good idea to take no action on this.
Yes. Harold, please come up to the mic so it's on the record.
As I understand it, Paul wants to live and work on his lot, have a business, and also be able to live there, which fits in well with C2. And as far as mobile home, I don't know where you're at on the manufactured home thing. I know there was some issue about that. A manufactured home is a post-1976 mobile home, as I understand it. And under your new zoning, the plan was to allow those on any lot, or on any residential lot in town, is that correct?
It got changed.
That's been changed now, so.
It's allowed on some, but it's a lot. I don't remember. It's a lot.
Liz, do you want to refresh us on where the mobile homes are allowed?
Is he talking?
Or not mobile homes, but the manufactured homes?
It's mobile homes and manufactured homes.
Yeah.
Where they're allowed now is basically, so high-density residential, under conditional use and industrial.
So, yeah, as I understand, under our existing zoning, mobile mobile homes, a mobile home on a single lot, all these residential uses which are conditional uses on industrial lots, mobile homes would be allowed in. I know from having C2 property that mobile homes aren't on that, but since everything is in flux, does anyone have any objection to having mobile homes allowed on C2 property or manufactured homes?
Well, I think we're dealing with the map now because we've gone through that portion of approving the code itself and recommending that to the assembly. So we're just dealing with what changes we can make on the map at this point. So
Now, as it stands today, until this new map is finalized and approved, we're operating under our old zoning, right?
Correct.
that is correct.
The reason I ask this is because I saw a manufactured home being delivered to Paul's property, so I presume if he puts that on his property in the near term and under,
That'll be grandfathered in.
it will be allowed. And I believe his plan was to build some kind of a shop building and build a house in the shop building. I don't know exactly.
We did approve Paul's request.
We're talking about Ivan.
We're talking about, yeah.
Paul's been approved.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
But nice try, Uncle.
I didn't hear that you were moved on to the next one.
No, we're on that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you.
That's okay.
And I saw them move that manufactured home up that hill. It was quite a chore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that
Well-
if we need clarification,
I think we're on this one with a lack of clarification and testimony. Should we just move on and leave this one as is at this point?
no action.
Yeah, I would just hate to mess him up
Yeah.
by doing something unexpected to him.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
One more on the back.
One more. And where is that one? I gotta look at my packet here and find it. There it is.
No, that was the...
All right. 39 lots, 708, 710, 712, and 804, South Nordic from industrial to light industrial. Do we have any public testimony on this?
I'll speak.
Come to the mic, take a seat.
I'm Jerry Dahl. I own 2 of those 4 lots, and the group of us put the letter together, and we would like to see it changed. Because lots are small, they're not good for warehouse, and the tide. This map doesn't show it, but there's a DOT dock right in front of it, cutting 3/4 to, I'll say, almost 7/8 of that tide off, that waterfront off. So it'd be nice if there was actually a map with actual representation of that, but. So there you go, that's a better, thank you. That's a better representation of the property. It's real similar, if not identical, to what's inside of the South Harbor. So if you scroll to the east, all that property right there, it's the same access. Basically a skiff at high tide. So it's not, to have it industrial is not a beneficiary, back when we were talking about waterfront industrial, it's not even remotely accessed for the waterfront. And we'd like to utilize it in other means and ways, just to, like Bill Manish currently has a house, or a warehouse with the caretakers with he wants a bed and breakfast in it. I support that. I don't have any plans for my property right now, but the way it's zoned industrial, especially the waterfront industrial, I know we've gone all which way here the last month, but I think whatever that property is inside the boat harbor should be the same as that, just because it mirrors it really well. Just as far as its location, you can hit a golf ball from there to there, and I don't think it's, anyway, would like to see it the same as light industrial, or that property. So, any questions?
I think from a standpoint of flexibility, in general industrial has more uses with the conditional use permit process. But if you, it's your call.
I personally don't see, I know general industrial, I think you could, beat on aluminum all night long and build skiffs and stuff like that, but that area is so congested. I own the property across the street.
Mm-hmm.
That zone, that's 30-mile-an-hour road. Pull a trailer out full of gear from my little lot in the woods, pull that out when somebody's coming 30 miles an hour on a blind corner, because it's blind because you got a dentist office there, you got a coffee shop, you got a gas station, and a petro service area, and it is congested. And I will not, for safety standards, you can't put another, and you don't got any room around it. There's such a small lot that you would, I think they're 100 by, if they're 100 by 100, whatever, 50 by 100. I think they're 50 by 100. And it's pretty congested. I just don't, in the future, I don't personally see any kind of heavy industry going in there. I know you call it general industry, but I don't see it. So.
I was just wanting to clarify, Liz. So we changed the industrial code to be conditional use for bed and breakfast now, right? On industrial lots.
Right, the residential use and then is conditional, and then the bed and breakfast is conditional.
So I think at our last meeting, instead of saying no on the industrial, now a bed and breakfast is allowed if you come and basically approve it. So
Everything that was no is conditional use permit.
and so you'd have to ask permission to do some things like a bed and breakfast there.
Yeah.
Industrial, I don't think. Now we just changed it.
So can I build a small house on industrial land?
It's conditional use. You'd have to ask us.
Up to 1,000 square feet, you can build it. Just go
without asking.
Right. You just go apply for a permit. Over 1,000 square feet, you got to ask for a conditional use permit.
I guess I would have to. I don't know how it best. Olivia, you got any input?
Not really.
The mic.
If I may.
Yes, Liz.
Not advocating, but just to articulate what I heard these guys say. I think the concern was, and you heard Mr. Manish testify at the last hearing, was that they didn't support the idea of allowing heavy industry uses into this area because they didn't think it was compatible with the uses that exist there. And then they also weren't supportive of having to go through a conditional use process to develop either a residential use or the bed and breakfast. That's what I got from...
That's kind of what
That's pretty much what you said just now, right? I think.
Yeah.
I'm not going to build an outboard shop there. I'm not going to go, if I want an outboard shop, I'd go buy Weekons or Holy Whitethorns before I build something else. Or Tongass Marine. There's lots of other... It's just, that property it's not a very good piece of for industry, personally. So, I think it's the same, I'll say it again, I think it's mirror images of what's inside the Port Harbor.
I just want to make sure you were clear, that you were thinking about what the changes to the code had been.
I'm probably never going to build anything in there anyway, and just look at it at my view. But,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Discussion, or motion, do we have a motion?
I move to make these changes as requested.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded, discussion.
I think he's right. I think the use of these properties is very similar to the other properties he was pointing at. And I don't see a long-term big industrial use of these.
Well, it still supports under the light industrial. There are some light industrial uses that can occur on that property, as well as commercial uses, which makes sense, being in that close proximity to the drive-down dock and everything else. So I think light industrial is a good fit. So. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Richard,
Yes.
Yancy,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Tor,
Yep.
Chris.
Yes. Okay. Let's move on to,
We still have a couple more amendments that weren't in the table.
that weren't in the table. Okay.
Page 23 and 24.
23 and 24. Okay. Oh, that's modular home. That's moved down. That's the next one here. Going to. Yes, Liz.
Could you actually make the motion to just approve the whole?
What?
That's the last amendment I have, so unless you have something else that you want to do, then you can,
For the zoning map?
yeah, just make a final motion on that to approve it as amended.
So I move that we approve the zoning map as amended presented today.
I have a question about
Yes.
the zoning map. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse, but it's my understanding that when you approve the zoning map, then everything goes into effect, correct?
Once it goes-
That's been changed,
Once
all
it's
the
appro-
rezoning.
once it's
And I'm still not, I'm still confused between what light industrial, which some people are asking for, gets them that commercial 2 doesn't, and what is it commercial 2?
Well-
And if you're going to approve the map, I thought that would come after definitions were understood. Like, what am I right now? What is my property on that map?
I think you're C2, which would be.
Which is light industrial.
No, she's general industry.
Oh,
I'm, pardon me?
You're general industry.
sorry.
So there's general industry and light industry. And I mean, I am not trying to be a pill here, but really, you're going to approve the map, and if you do, then I don't
So
think we can
if you-
come back later and understand the map. I think now's my only chance to.
If you want to call it C2 and general industrial, those are the two classifications we want to call them that. And so they asked for C2, and then we have general industrial, which your lot is.
Okay, and that's just like one all-encompassing industrial lot, zone.
Yes.
Okay.
But the big difference is for the residential components on general
right.
industrial, you got to get a conditional use permit.
Right, okay.
So-
Thank you.
We'll keep on hearing light industrial because that's what C2 has become.
Okay.
Yeah, they're-
Okay.
It's just been renamed.
It was called C2 light industrial, so we just dropped the C2 part and are just calling it light industrial.
Okay, and that was it was very confusing for me because I thought it was just going to be industrial, and then also
Yeah.
then there would be commercials. Because before, industry allowed for a lot of activities within C1 and C2, and that's still true? Yes.
Yeah, but there's-
Those activities
there's-
within C2 and C1 that were allowed in industry before are still on the table for industry lots?
You have to be more specific. So,
When you used to go on the borough website and look under, industrial, it would tell you what you can do on industrial, but from rock crushers to machine shops to all these other things. But then it would also list all these activities in C1 and C2 that were also open to you.
Yeah.
So I'm just making sure that doesn't go away.
Well, what happened under general industrials, we said anything that was an N became a conditional use permit. So under general industrial, anything that was in the table before that was on the new code that said you couldn't do it became a conditional use permit. So
Okay, so, but it doesn't quite go back to the wording of these items in C1 and C2 are,
Well-
yes, but they are a conditional use.
well, a lot of them are allowed, but they're either allowed or a conditional use permit. In general industrial,
Okay.
everything's either allowed or
I don't have
conditional
that
use
table,
permit.
so I can't
Yeah.
see what was
Right.
before not allowed, but now is with conditional use. That's
Yeah.
good to hear. I appreciate it. Thank you very much again.
Okay.
It's confusing.
Yeah. Harold.
just to clarify, so I made the motion, could I get a second? Did I get a second?
We got a second.
Okay, good deal.
So we've got a motion and a second, but
Harold Medallen, and now that you've gone through all of these these changes to the map and everything like that, I think before you approve it, I think there are other issues with the new code that need to be dealt with, and I think before you approve it, you should let the public know where it's at right now, that what all the revisions are, and take some input on that. It's like, because right here now today, when you go to approving the map, it's almost like it's the first reading again. I don't think you should do it at this meeting without letting the public come back with some input. Our existing code, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with all this. I mean, we're forced into the position of doing a bunch of spot zone type things, little changes. I don't like this, I don't like that, I want my zoning changed. And under our existing code, for amendments, anyone within 600 feet of the area where the zoning is going to be changed is supposed to be notified. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, I think you should be notified when your neighbor's doing something. And, as living on a residential lot, I have different expectations about what goes on around me than I do on. We have commercial property, industrial property, and those things, and your things change. But everybody's got an opinion on what goes on next door to them, and I think you should put it out there as it stands with all these amendments and let the public know about it and take action at the next meeting on that. I think that would be prudent.
we're making a recommendation to the Borough Assembly.
I understand.
And then they have to have their 3 readings on whatever we approve as far as the map goes before that takes effect. So.
I do understand, but I think that this whole process has been, I heard some comments from people who were at the last meeting that, and there's a misconception that this massive rezone where we threw out the original zoning code and introduced a code from out of state that completely changed all the categories and things, that this was mandated by the comprehensive plan. I read through that 2016 plan 3 times looking for anything like that, and it's not in there, and it's been a sort of failure of public process. So I think that you should get the maximum public process before it goes to the Borough Assembly. Otherwise, we're going to be up at the Borough Assembly and darkening their door and talking about this. So some of the things I've seen, just, personally, I've been concentrated on the zoning aspects of it and how it affects us and our property. But good example, and supposedly you guys went through all this line by line, but and then any definition not in the zoning ordinances from the dictionary and that, but in the Hammersea area, it's approved woodpile construction, and I look up woodpile, all was one word, it's a pile of wood. That's there's little things like that, and then it'd be sorted out. You got an excessive amount of stuff about optional bicycle racks and excessively restrictive on agricultural uses of land. There's lots of little things that should be dealt with.
But I think it would help if you came up with amendments and then we'd address them. So, like, if you think whether or not we need more agriculture in downtown or greenhouse or what, I mean, if you pick up amendments, we'll pick them up. And
I'd be more than happy to do that. Like I say, I've been concentrating on because this is a big, broad issue. There's a lot of stuff going on with it, and it's like putting out all these little brush fires. But now that we've got if everybody's satisfied with what their zoning's going to be, there's other things to be taken care of, and so I'd hate to see you approve that map, but especially before having some public input on the map as it sits right now, with you guys making those changes.
And that's why when the code got approved, and then we picked back up industrial because we did based on the work. And so that's been the process. We've had 3 more meetings on industrial. Now it's going to go back to the Borough Assembly for 3 more meetings. And people have their chance to come. And if there is more issues, then they'll kick it back to us and we'll pick it up again.
Well, yeah, that's the way you want to do it. But I would really respectfully suggest that you guys put all this stuff on the map, just how it is, and make it public before you make a final decision on the map as it is, because it's hard to sort through all these little changes with the maps that we have. So, anyway, that's all I got.
Thank you. Please come to the microphone so it's on the record.
My name is Vernon Brown, and I own property on the end of 12th Street. And I think it's zone light commercial, and it's been in the past zone commercial. And can you just explain what that light commercial means?
So it's zoned in, it's
General commercial.
general commercial, okay. Liz?
It's lot 19, 20, and 21.
I believe those lots are zoned general commercial. General commercial, which it's not light commercial, it's general commercial, which is the equivalent of commercial 1, which is, I believe, what you are now. So
So there's no changes.
the big difference would be that it's a little bit looser on allowing some light manufacturing on there than the current commercial. So that's allowed as a conditional use. I think that was the big difference, but
Yeah.
So you could process fish or something like
right, you could be like a
If you want
like a
fish
taco or a
processing.
coastal or something, yeah. Or you could do on-site processing, yeah.
Well, it's right across, right next to the senior housing, and so I was thinking it would be better if it was housing of some sort.
Are you requesting a change in? your
No,
zoning?
not this
Oh,
time, because
okay.
I haven't done my homework.
Okay, fair enough, but it's the equivalent of what you were in our new code.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sure. And, if you want to stop in to my office, I'm happy to speak further. Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Sally.
Yes.
Yancy.
Yes.
Tor.
Yep.
Richard.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes. Okay. Consideration of miscellaneous amendments to the development code. There's establishing a definition for modular homes.
I requested this because there seemed to be a lot of confusion between a manufactured home, a mobile home, and a modular home. So I asked Liz or staff to please come up with a definition to explain it.
Yeah, it looks like a good job there. I'm impressed with it.
So I make a motion that we approve the amendment to define modular home.
You have a second? Okay. Any discussion? Roll call?
Chris.
Yes.
Yancy.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Tor.
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to establishing an overlay district to reinstate uses and development requirements of the single-family 2, single-family special use district. Liz?
Right, so I've had 4 or 5 people in my office to talk about this specific area, which is the waterfront along North Nordic. Most of that property is in borough ownership, and the comments have ranged from that the borough should buy all the remaining private property there and not allow anything to happen to preserve the view all the way to it's deep water, and we should develop it as an industrial area and allow industrial development along that waterfront. And so certainly more of the concern has been about trying to protect the view along that corridor and the recreational values, and that's consistent with the previous comp plan and the current comp plan. So since there's such a range of interest, I sort of defaulted to the current status quo, that compromise that was reached back, 30 years ago. And I've talked to folks that are outside of that, and they agree that they probably won't get what they want, so the compromise is probably the best they can do. So this just is straight from what is currently in the code for that area. It's a separate zoning district, so instead of creating it as a separate standalone zoning district, this just creates the overlay. So it's residential, low-density residential, and then it has these development restrictions, which are pulled directly from the current code.
So it's a similar area, like similar way to manage it as a historic district.
Exactly, yeah. So, so their uses are the same as what anybody who had residential property can do, but then they have the additional things that were already in place, as far as, you have to build on piling, and you go only 25 feet. And there's a restriction on the pitch of the roof as well.
I'd like to amend this, though. I do have one gripe with it. D2. Mr. Loesch had wrote to us about the desire for him to use metal siding because it's much easier for him to maintain. And I mean, like, here we are in this municipal building right across the street from this area that's totally clad with metal siding, and we're trying to tell the people right across the street they can't have it. It just doesn't.
He was supposed to bring in some samples to show us.
Actually, that wasn't about metal siding either.
Oh,
so
but
it was vinyl siding. It wasn't.
It was vinyl siding.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to bring it in, though.
And actually, this isn't related to this area at all. It's specific to that North Nordic area.
Okay.
Which honestly, metal siding might not be a good idea on the waterfront.
Oh, and just because someone just asked, but I'll just provide it for everybody in case someone else has the same question. There's a series of open space lots there too, that those are all in borough ownership. And so the zoning doesn't change, so they stay in open space. And the lots that are in private ownership are in low density residential. So that configuration doesn't get altered, the way it's zoned doesn't get altered.
And it's just in the overlay that we're talking about just basically reflects exactly what's in the current code right
It's
now.
exactly what's in the current code.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have that on here, on the map to show us?
I just, foolishly, I just shut this down.
Oh,
But
yeah,
Let me see if I can
It's okay.
resurrect.
It's basically just north of Icicle, huh? That whole strip.
Yeah, I guess I was mistaken.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah,
I think that's for sale.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
So it just, basically it extends from here to here. And so that green is all currently owned by the borough, and it's open space. And then, so we're really just talking about this stretch here, and then this
Those
one out
two
here.
lots, okay.
Yep. I think it's 12, 18 lots.
Any further discussion?
Do we have a motion on the table?
I don't think so.
I thought there was a
I
motion.
made a motion for the previous one.
Yeah,
Move to
Move
adopt.
to the modular one.
we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment for single-family special use.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Court,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Yancy.
Yes.
Okay. And we have a consideration of an application for a minor subdivision at 113 Somerset Lane. Do we have any testimony on this?
I think the applicants. Yeah, okay,
Yes.
they're here.
Yeah. This is just to move the property line so that it's in, and we're just moving that property line north is to make that smaller lot a little bit larger. And I'm just clarifying for people.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the Otness subdivision with conditions, including the finding of facts.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Chris,
Yes.
Yancy,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Court,
Yep.
Sally.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to E, consideration of an application from Dennis and Heather O'Neill for a minor subdivision at 606 South Nordic. Do we have any public testimony?
Isn't this just moving the property line
It's just moving a property line as well.
to be in line with the neighbor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was to also,
So the property line's not where the apartment.
yeah, so it makes sense for the lot, which,
Considering the house is straddling it,
yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Can we amend that, I guess, have the conditions and the finding of facts included?
Yeah. Any further discussion? So we have an amended, to include the findings of fact and conditions. Been moved and seconded. Do we have a roll call, or for, roll call, please?
Sally,
Yes.
Court,
Yes.
Yancy,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes. Okay. Consideration of an application from Richard Burke for a variance from the front yard setback requirement for construction of porch steps 14 feet from the property line at 300 North 3rd Street. Public testimony.
I'm Richard Burke, representing myself. When I got my prior variance for the setback, I neglected to include for stairs off of that end of the building. So that's all I'm asking for, 4 feet, because I can cut a 8-foot board in half.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion that we approve the variance application of Richard Burke and include the finding of facts.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Sally,
Yes.
Court,
Yes.
Yancy,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes. Okay.
If you don't mind stepping up to the mic, if you would.
Yeah, and I understand a little bit about the flood zone issue, but just for clarification, it would already be something that is already in existence, correct?
Yeah, we just-
It's not a burden you're putting on me in addition to what everybody along that whole row
No.
has. We already acknowledge that we're tidelands and...
We're just stating it has to be in the plat map.
Right, yeah,
so
and
that
that's not out
right.
of the, I mean, that's what all of us
Yeah.
have and
Yeah.
would have to have, and what I currently
Yeah.
have from prior.
Yeah.
Just making sure it wasn't something new in the management regulation, just the way it's
No.
worded.
No, it's
So I'm
just trying to make sure it's clear that what
Yes,
needs to be on the
When I have
paper.
it surveyed and platted,
Right,
it's noted there like
Yeah.
all of us along there, we're all treated the same.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
It's just making sure there's clarification for anybody looking at the plats in the future, that's all.
Sure, I get it. Thank you.
No problem. Commissioner comments?
I have a question for Richard. Are you going to have any kind of a little shed roof or anything over your stairs or your porch?
Nothing that's not already.
Just a railing and,
Yeah, just what's already existing as far as cover.
okay.
Staff comments?
I just wanted to give you an update on the conditional use permit for Mr. Whitney. It's been almost a year since you extended that, and we did receive a request for another extension, and that'll be on your July agenda. As you requested, we'll do a full mail out to property owners within 600 feet prior to that. And so just wanted to let you know that that is happening.
Okay. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be July 9th at noon. Any other comments? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
50 to be here.
Just, I don't know if you're looking for a quorum.
Okay. I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Mike, if we could make it.
Don't know.
I think the contractor is going to shut down for the 4th of July in Nahuna, so I may actually be leaving on the afternoon jet, so that day I might be able to be here this earlier day than noon.
Okay.
Like at 10 or something?
Yeah,
Any time would work for me, so it's
Me
whatever.
too. As long as I know in an email
Yeah.
the day before.
Yeah.
July 9th's a Tuesday, there's
Yeah.
probably a good chance that might be here, actually.
but it would need to be like a 9 o'clock meeting so I can get on the morning jet.
9 o'clock. That works for me. How about?
That works for me. Liz, do you guys have any comment on that?
No, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So shall we make it at 9?
It means getting a quorum. I think we should.
Is there going to be any conflict for the room, Liz?
I can't tell you that right now, so
Okay.
our conflict detector isn't working right now. So I can't tell you.
Let's tentatively schedule it for 9 o'clock if that can work. And
July
if not, then we'll try to get a time figured out fairly quickly here. So like within the next week would be good. So,
Yeah, I'll know for sure within the next
Yeah.
week.
I applaud everybody's efforts at trying to keep a quorum for the public,
yeah,
so we don't have some of the problems we had 2 years ago where we went months without a meeting.
yeah. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Sec-
Did you say no?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you say no?